strength of what y'all have to offer this year?
I think thus far, Travis, through the practices that we've had, I for sure think we're better, we're faster, more guys that can pass, dribble, and shoot. So I hope that it's the strength of our team. I think all good teams have a plethora of guards, and I think we're going in that direction. So I for sure am pleased with what we've done thus far relative to the guards.
And then what have you seen from Manny Obaseki so far, and what he's been able to bring to the program as a young guy?
His body has changed a lot in the short time that he's been here. Coach Gephardt's done a great job with all of our guys. All of their bodies have changed. Mo would be in that upper echelon of those guys. You know, he has a good frame, and his body is beginning to lean out as he adds muscle. He's a very intuitive player on both ends of the floor. Obviously, we're throwing a lot at him, and we need him to be great from the beginning. But he has been very receptive to the work required, to the film study required, to how hard I coach him. He's been tremendous. I think he has a very bright future for sure.
Thanks, Coach.
Yes, sir. Good to see you.
All right, let's go to Andrew Hattersley from Gig'em 247.
Hey, Coach, you've got a very new front court with a lot of new guys there. What have you seen from those guys, and what do you want to see from them once the season gets going, and what will be the points of emphasis for them?
Yeah, I would say, Andrew, like all coaches this time of the year, when you're talking about inside play, can you defend your position? Can you rebound your position? Can you stay with the pace of the game? And if we throw the ball to you, can you make the right decision? Javonte Brown has yet to play a college game. Obviously, he was a redshirt for us last year as a transfer from UConn. Ethan Henderson was at Arkansas, but played spot minutes. Henry Coleman was a freshman last year at Duke. We've known him since early in his career. Ashton Smith is a true freshman from Houston. We have a lot of pieces. We just don't have a lot of pieces that have played a lot of minutes. And so I think those are kind of the categories that we focus on. Defensively, can you guard? Can you rebound your position? Hopefully at some point rebound out of your area. Can you stay with the pace of the game? And then if we throw it to you, can you catch it? I think because of how the game has evolved, I know this is not your question, but the more the game has changed, particularly over the last 5 to 10 years, I think guys that are 6'7" and taller, a lot of their ability to impact the game is their ability to defend ball screens and which types of ways they can defend ball screens. When you can only defend ball screens one way, or you're late in your coverage, or you can't execute your coverage, it becomes hard to play because so many teams are playing in essence with what would be 4 guards. The 4th guard may be taller than most, but it's turned into that. And so when you're only playing with one big, a lot of times a percentage of what those bigs are doing is trying to open up the floor for one of those 4 guards. And so ball screen coverage, we spend a lot of time on it just because I think that's the way the game is going, not necessarily for every team, but for sure stereotypically speaking.
Gotcha. Thanks, Coach.
A reminder, if you have a question, please use the raise hand function on Zoom. Right now, let's go to Owen Buchanan from Texas.
Yeah, Buzz. My question is about Andre and Quentin. You had so many guys transferred out. Did you have to do a lot of work to kind of re-recruit those guys to stay, or were they on board all the way?
Zero. I have the utmost respect for those 2 guys. And regardless of how many points they score in the rest of their career, I'll be on the first row at their wedding. Their children will get the best first day gift ever. I just have a lot of respect for them and their families. Yeah, last year was a trying time on the floor and off the floor. Obviously, Q has already graduated from Texas A&M. He graduated in 4 years, having spent his first 2 years at a junior college. As the only junior college guy at the Power 5 level, I'm aware of how difficult that is to do. Obviously, Dre signed with us at Virginia Tech and then followed us here, has a unique story specific to his family. Those guys, I will be in their corner no matter how successful they are as players for their loyalty. I have great respect for who they are and their families.
All right, thank you.
All right, next up is Chip Howard from Sports Talk.
As with so many new guys, how much responsibility do you put on the coaching staff to create chemistry, and how much of that is up to the players?
It's been a lot of fun, Chip. We've had more staff meetings in the last 3 months than I think I've had ever in my career. It's forced me to have to change, to study more, to understand better. Our staff has been tremendous. Obviously, we've had some staff changes. It has been really good. We were kind of putting the band back together and bringing Coach Rock back with us. We've been very accountable in how we have worked with our guys on the floor and off the floor. That's been a big part of what we've done since Memorial Day. And I think our staff has led the charge, not me. I think our staff has been really good. Certain things that we call buckets that they're the head coach of, certain things they're in charge of. So when we meet, it would almost, in my opinion, in the football staff meetings that I've been a part of throughout my career, I haven't been to any with Coach Jimbo, so I'm not speaking for him, but it's almost like a football staff meeting. Hey, let's talk about offense. Who is it? Let's talk about defense. Who is it? Special teams. Who is it? It's been really good. And I think our team is aware of that. And so there's been good symmetry thus far. I know we haven't had any drama or any problems yet because we haven't played a game, but thus far it's been excellent.
Do you have a goal as to when you'd like to see your rotation come together?
We're scrimmaging today, Chip. That's one of the things relative to your last question. You know, the NCAA regulates more in the 42 days prior to the start of the season than any of the other 320 plus days in the year. And so it's very specific. Whenever game number 1 is, rewind 42 days, and you can only work 30 of those 42 days. So you have to kind of plan out how you want to do it. And every coach is different and how they go about what they do in the 30 days, but just as important, how they go about what they do in the 12 off days. And so we have maintained the same schedule since we started in the summer. We've been off every Wednesday and we've been off every Sunday. Weekday off to stay on top of academics, weekend day off so that you can rest your brain and body. And then we've had a really good groove. The groove will change this week because the NCAA mandates that you have to take Tuesday off for voting purposes. And so we're playing on Monday, so our schedule will be a little bit different this upcoming week. But you're right in what you're saying. The problem with that, we're going to scrimmage 4 times. So this is the 3rd time we will have scrimmage today. The SEC officials are coming in, and we just finished meeting as a staff. We're going to play 40 minutes today, and we're going to play 4 10-minute periods, and we're trying to figure out how to get different groups together. If we're playing small, if we're playing big, if we're playing with a bunch of shooters or no shooters. Olin always wants to know if we can shoot the ball, so we're still trying to figure out if we can. So we're trying to figure out the right groups, and it's still a little early, Chip, to know. And I don't know when that'll be. Partly because we haven't played, partly because it's still early, but partly because we're going to end up being one of the younger teams in the country. And I think those guys are changing every day, and hopefully they're changing for the better because of what we're doing each day.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Buzz, next up on the question queue is Kay from Battalion. I don't think you've met her yet, but
Where are you from, Kay?
The Battalion. It's the student-run newspaper.
Yeah, nice to meet you. I'll be nicer to you than all these other old guys.
I appreciate that. So obviously COVID-19 heavily restricted guests last season. How excited are you and your players to play just in like full capacity Reed Arena?
Yeah, Kay, I don't even know how to articulate that answer. Just being able to be around our guys on a daily basis, for them to be able to come in the gym when they want, for us to be able to be in the film room, be in the locker room, be in Reed Arena today for the first time. I guess it's actually the second time. Yeah, all of it. I'm not saying everything's back to normal, and I'm not trying to broach a subject that I probably am not educated enough to speak on. But man, for our guys to be able to feel like things are back to what it was, you know, I think all of us have stories, multiple stories from what's transpired over the last 16 months. But one thing that I learned, Kay, last year was not that I ever dreamed that I would be the coach at Texas A&M. A lot of our guys grew up dreaming of having a chance to play at the highest level, but they didn't dream of growing up and playing at the highest level during the only pandemic of their life and not being able to have any sort of normalcy, any sort of routine, go to class. There was none of that. Go to study hall. There was none of that. So yeah, I think they're real excited, to be honest, and we'll have to handle the next 10 or 12 days right, because they're just ready to play. We had a great practice on Monday, arguably the best practice we've had all year. And then we followed it up yesterday with arguably our worst practice. And I think some of that is because they're kind of tired of playing against one another. They want to play against someone else. They want their family and friends to come to the game. They need a change of environment. And so to be able to know that things are back to normal as possible, I think everybody's excited and thankful for that.
All right, next up is Mike Lucas from KAGS.
Hey, Coach, how much of a step forward has Hassan taken from his freshman to his sophomore year in terms of being a point guard and kind of running the offense for you guys?
You know what, Mike, you know, I like Haas and really like him. And I tell him all the time, man, you're one of my favorite guys ever. And I don't know if you can play. So I don't want you to think you're one of my favorite guys based on how good of a player you are or you're not. I just love his spirit. I think he has the winner gene. I don't think he's the best at anything, but he is a consummate professional in how he attacks his life. I hold him in the highest regard because of where he's from and because of how he goes about his life. He is in the gym every day, no matter what. He's not missing class, no matter what. He's going to graduate from Texas A&M, and he's going to make the best grades he can possibly make. He's just very accountable. He has very little drama, very little immaturity. He's an old soul in how he thinks. And, you know, I may have told you this at some point. It's a unique story how Haas ever even got here. And I never watched him play. And I went and saw him as many times as the NCAA would allow. And I would only go spend time with him. And every time I would go see him, I would teach him a lesson. Get Better 101. Hey, this is what I want to talk to you about this week. The fourth time I went to see him, he was like, hey, Coach, are you ever gonna come to practice or watch me play? And I go, yeah, that is a good question. Can you play? He said, yeah, I can play. I said, okay, then no, I'm not coming. And he said, why? I said, I trust you. And that matters more to me than if you can make a shot. He has that same impact, Mike, with his teammates. He's has high energy, has real spirit. Nothing about him is fake. Is he a better player? Yes, he's a better player because how accountable he is each day in his work. Is he a full-time run your team quarterback point guard at this level? I don't know. Partly because last year is probably not the right case study to prove that. And partly because thus far through 20 practices, he's playing with a bunch of new guys and we're playing a brand new offense. Do I trust him as a person on the floor to do what's right with or without the ball? I do. And I believe his teammates do as well.
Oh, we got a couple more questions on the question queue. Let's go to Travis Brown from the Eagle.
I'm back. Hey, Coach.
Yes, sir.
I know Devin's going to be coaching the first two games. What kind of went into that decision, and how has managing some of those sanctions gone for y'all in the last couple months?
Well, thanks for asking. I think we've done the best we could. I'm disappointed. At the end of the day, Travis, it's on me. Obviously, this all began during the lockdown. I don't think any of it was overly intentional. We were actually, not me, we were just trying to help find some safety for our guys. It was a long process. And I think everybody that was involved handled it perfectly. And all of the consequences have already been fulfilled. In 15 days from now, it'll be over. I have to sit out next Wednesday. I have to sit out next Friday. Devin is starting his 11th year with us. He's been everywhere I've been. He was the first person I met when I was hired as the head coach at the University of New Orleans. Literally at the press conference, there were 3 people there, not counting my wife. He was the 4th person that I met. The first 3 were the chancellor and the AD and the president at UNO. I have the utmost faith and trust in who he is as a human, who he is as a coach. And as silly as this sounds, I'm excited for him. And our players are excited because I told our kids, as soon as all of this became public, our team knew it before you knew it. I told them the truth. I told them how it started, told them the whole process, told them that the wins would not go on my record or losses. They would go on Devin's. And we've utilized, like today, we're going to scrimmage and Devin will coach the guys that I'm not coaching. So like Chip's talking about who's in our rotation and we're trying to figure it out. Well, we're changing the teams while at the same time, Devin is getting reps of coaching then. We did a little bit of that in the not so secret scrimmage that we had this past Saturday. And we'll do a little bit of it on Monday when we play Kingsville. But I'm glad it's over. I have tried to handle it the best way possible. And the only way I know to do that is to tell the truth. I'm telling you the truth. I told the NCAA the truth, and I've told my bosses and everybody involved at Texas A&M the truth on how it all started.
And I know you're a real hands-on guy, of course. What do you know what you're going to be doing during those 2 games? How you're going to get to watch the game, or will that be difficult for you?
Yes, sir. I don't know. And I don't know, when the suspension, Travis, means not only can I not come to the game, I can't come to work that day. So that's a problem at my house, whether it's game day or not. You know what I mean? Like, I think my wife likes to know he's not going to work today. He is going to work today. So for me to stay at home 2 days, particularly out of 3, that happens like once every 3 years. And so I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do during the day. I for sure don't know what I'm going to do during the game. It's been a topic of conversation between my wife and I, even a little bit with our staff. Like, guys, is there anything you think I could do? And they're like, not sure. Nobody wants to answer it because nobody knows the answer.
Yeah, appreciate your answers. Thanks, Coach.
Yes, sir.
All right, let's go to Andrew Hattersley from Gig'em 247.
Coach, I wanted to ask you about Tyrese Radford and just kind of what he's brought and kind of adding a player like late in the summer like that and just how he's settled in.
Another unique story. I call Tyrese Boots, and I gave him the nickname Boots the first day I met him because I think he's tough as boot leather. That would be something my parents would have said to me growing up. He didn't know what that meant. And I was like, it means you're really tough. And he goes, Coach, I like that. I go, well, I don't give many people nicknames. So this nickname will stick. Just watch. And now everybody calls him Boots. But he was an academic partial qualifier coming out of high school. And so where he is from, Andrew, and what he's been able to accomplish, he graduated early from Virginia Tech. Against all odds, he graduated early. Did not play the year we were there. Mike Young is one of the best offensive coaches in the country, bar none. Did a phenomenal job with Boots. He's from Baton Rouge. Obviously, Devin is from New Orleans. Devin and Boots are very close. That's how all of this started way back when. So to be able to add someone that has his game experience, his wisdom as a player, but I also think he knows how we operate, and he wanted to be a part of it. That speaks to who he is. I think that speaks to who his family is. So very thankful that he's here. It was not the normal recruiting because obviously he knew us, his family knew us, but considering the youth of our roster, to be able to add someone who has competed and been successful at this level, he's the only player on the roster that's competed in an NCAA tournament game. And so not only his age, but his success at the highest level, I think that's very important considering how young we are.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, got a couple more. So let's go to Chip Howard from Sports Talk and then finish with John Wilson.
I was looking at your home non-conference schedule. How much of it is a product of not knowing what necessarily you were going to put on the floor this year, and how much of it is a product of how difficult it is just to get maybe bigger name teams to come in here or play 1-for-1s or 1-for-2s? How difficult is the scheduling?
Chip, it's brutal. And I could give a longer diatribe than normal on how difficult scheduling is. A few things just to highlight. Number one, we're the only league where your non-conference net average has to be a certain number. And that certain number is based on when you sign the contract to play that particular game. That throws a wrinkle in every game scheduled in non-conference in the SEC. And then the next thing is, is it your turn to be in the Big 12 SEC Challenge, or is it your turn not to be in it and you're playing a team in the American? And what is their number going to be? And then the next thing is what MTE are you going to play in, and what is that number going to be? So, for instance, we're in Maui/Vegas. What is that number that's going to compute in the net of the 150 average that we have to have in non-conference? Coach Lair handles a lot of our scheduling. J-Mo is involved because he has to be as our sport administrator. But Ross Bjork is also involved because it's not football completely where they're scheduling a decade in advance, but it's much further advanced in time than I think the typical public knows. And so we have one Power 5 game that is left on our schedule for next year that we're trying to solve. We're trying to solve it now for next year. Is it going to be a home game? Is it going to be a road game? Is it going to be a neutral site game? But we can't make the decision because we have one more game that we have to get, and that game that we have to get is the week after finals. But every college categorically doesn't have the exact same finals week. So there's a smaller pool that you're working from. And so it's very much a puzzle that is not your age 3 to 5 puzzle. It's more like the 500 piece puzzle that you got to kind of constantly work on. It didn't used to be like that, but it's almost recruiting. Like you need to spend a little bit of time on scheduling each day. You need to spend a little bit of time on recruiting each day because both are very important to the future of your program.
Thank you.
All right, and we'll wrap it up with John Wilson from KPTX.
Coach, what is your excitement level for this season? Hopefully from start to finish, you'll be able to go through it without the effects of COVID that we've had the first 2 years.
I think it's been a reset, John, in many respects. I know that I have to be accountable for what transpired on the court last year, and I'm not ever going to back up from that. I thought we closed down year one pretty good. We started poorly and then won 5 out of our last 7, and we're excited to go to the conference tournament. And then we all know what took place in year 2 and how it ended. And from that end, as difficult as all of that was, the emotion that was involved, I don't know if trauma is too strong of a word, but all of the things that transpired over the last 15 months, it's been rejuvenating to have new people, to have new energy, to have new talent, to have new roles. It's been fun. It's it's pushed me to be accountable for my words, accountable for my time, because nobody really knows what's going on. We can say Dre, we can say Q, they know who I am. We can say Haas, we can say H, but what we're doing on the court, John, on both sides of the ball is brand new. And so even for them, every day is a new day. And I think similar to what Kay asked, there is some level of, you can't really quantify, hey, this kind of feels normal. Isn't this fun? Isn't it good that we can come to the gym today? We kind of know it's still maybe not perfect, but isn't it so much better? And so I think there's a spirit of gratefulness in how we work. There's a spirit of thankfulness in the lessons that we learned despite the difficulty from last year. And I think there's some anticipation of, kind of like the theme of all of these questions. Hey, Buzz, y'all any good? Don't know. You like your guys? Sure. Who are they? Still trying to figure it out. What about when y'all are playing? I don't know. I haven't even had time to think about somebody else. But, you know, that anticipation, to me, this is a personal thing, not a professional thing. I think energy is a derivative of anticipation. You know, when you're excited about something, you want to wake up out of bed and you want to go, hey, let's see if we can do this. And I think there's some of that going on. And the spirit of our players and the spirit of our staff has been phenomenal. And again, I know we haven't had any turmoil yet, and that is coming. But to be able to have consecutive days, I think it's a little bit of all those things that you ask in your question.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Good to see you.
All right, that's all the questions we have for you. Thanks, Buzz.
Good to see you guys.